chairman, panel of judges, timekeeper, co-debaters, and my esteemed audience. I am Tanya and I am a representative of Shining Star College, and I stand before you today to oppose the motion which says that Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. Before going on, let me define these terms: oil exploration and renewable energy. Oil exploration is the process of searching for oil using underground and underwater means, using geological surveys and seismic techniques, while renewable energy are forms of energy gotten from natural sources and are constantly replenished by the earth, which includes solar energy, wind energy, biomass, and the likes. Well, oil has been a major backbone in Nigerian economy because according to reports from Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the National Bureau of Statistics, over 88.6% of total export earnings come from oil and gas export earnings, and the petroleum industry contributes over 52% to the federal government's total revenue. With a country that has a debt pile of over 107 trillion naira debt and over 37% youth unemployment, can it really afford to discard its major economic pillar? Well, it's a no. But even with Nigeria's unsteady power generation, with other countries like South Africa generating over 48,000 megawatts of electricity, Nigeria still hovers around 4,200 megawatts of electricity. This is indeed poor for a country, and with even financial strains on maintaining renewable energy, such as the cost of setting up 1 megawatt of solar energy requires up to $850,000 to $1.4 million. Can Nigeria really have the capability to transition to renewable energy to power our homes, even when our present national grid cannot power our schools, our businesses, and our homes? Well, according to the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, over 400,000 jobs are provided to people directly, and 2.5 million jobs provided indirectly to individuals through services and logistics and catering. And if the oil exploration sector is dissolved, what will become of these individuals and their families? Can the renewable energy sector, which employs currently less than 5% of this number, be able to absorb this workforce? Well, the answer is no. Even developed countries like USA, they produce more than 12.5 million barrels of oil per day, and even countries like Germany, one of the balanced renewable economies, still consume more than 2.2 million barrels of oil per year. And even countries like Saudi Arabia earn more than $170 billion per year from the sale of crude oil. Why would Nigeria, a developing country with a weak economic foundation, try to make this disastrous step to discard its own precious resource? Well, in truth, oil and renewable energy can and must coexist. But this can be done by Nigeria investing its $33 billion oil revenue into renewable energy projects, such as investing in solar and hydropower investments. This can be done effectively and strategically without Nigeria jeopardizing its presence for an uncertain future. In conclusion, oil exploration should still be continuing even till this day, as the proceeds gotten from it can make a greener future for us all without making our present degradable and breaking down the system that sustains millions today. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Treasure Ozioma and I'm a representative of Shining Star College, Kurudu, Abuja. I rise to speak against the motion that Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. While we agree that renewable energy is crucial for the future, it is neither practical nor wise for Nigeria to abandon oil exploration at this point in our national development. The opposing side may argue that oil exploration is environmentally harmful. While that is true to some extent, the real problem lies not in oil itself, but in weak enforcement and regulation. Instead of halting oil exploration, Nigeria should enforce environmental laws and invest in technologies that reduce oil's ecological footprint. You do not burn down your house simply because your roof is leaking, do you? No, you fix the leak. Secondly, they may claim that the world is moving away from fossil fuels. Yes, global energy trends are shifting, but the reality is, oil is and will remain a strategic and economic lifeline. Nigeria earns over 85% of its foreign exchange from oil. To stop oil exploration now would be like cutting off our oxygen supply whilst searching for an inhaler. We must transition, yes, but not at the expense of our economic survival. The proposal might point out that renewable energy is sustainable, but can sustainability alone work without reliability and infrastructure? Our current national grid barely powers homes consistently, let alone support large industries. Solar and wind are intermittent and require huge investments, which ironically can be funded by oil revenues. Let us use oil to fund the transition and not the
Critical opponents and distinguished guests. I stand before you to argue in favor of the motion that Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. The world is at a critical juncture where climate change, national development, and sustainability are the central concerns of our governments, organizations, and communities. Nigeria, as one of the world's largest oil producers, faces an essential choice of determining its energy future. In this debate, I will be exploring the implications of transitioning away from oil, the potential benefits of investing in renewable energy, and the impact of such a shift on climate change, national development, and sustainability. The impact of oil on climate change. The global shift towards renewable energy is largely driven by the urgency to address climate change. Nigeria, as one of the world's largest oil producers, faces an essential choice of determining its energy future. The oil industry is one of the largest contributors to the greenhouse gas emissions, particularly carbon monoxide. Oil exploration, extraction, transportation, and consumption are responsible for the significant levels of air pollution contributing to the global warming crisis. By continuing to focus on oil, Nigeria risks becoming a contributor to the increasing temperature, rising sea levels, and the frequent and the more intense climate changes we've experienced worldwide. As a member of the global community, Nigeria must align with international agreements like the Paris Agreement, which have set clear goals to limit the global temperature rise to well below 2 degrees Celsius, with an aspiration of limiting the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Given Nigeria's reliance on oil and its position as the largest emitter in Africa, it is imperative for the country to shift to greener alternatives in order to protect the country for future generations. By investing in renewable energy, Nigeria can become a proactive member in the global climate work and work towards mitigating the environmental impact of fossil fuels. National development and diversification. Economic diversification. The Nigerian economy has been historically dependent on oil revenues, accounting for more than 70% of export revenues and a significant portion of government income. However, the volatility of oil prices poses an essential risk on the country's economy. Given Nigeria's reliance on oil has declined the growth of other critical sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, and production. Renewable energy technologies like solar, wind, and hydropower serve as new industries that create jobs, stimulate innovation, and reduce the country's reliance on fossil fuels imported from other nations. This shift could help reduce the country's reliance on oil and the impact of oil price fluctuations. Job creation. The renewable energy sector has shown immense potential in creating new job opportunities. According to international organizations, renewable energy jobs have been increasing worldwide. By investing in green energy technologies like solar panel manufacturing, wind turbine production, and energy storage solutions, Nigeria could harness its youth labor force while creating new job opportunities. This shift could help reduce poverty in both rural and urban areas. Energy security and sustainability. Nigeria's reliance on oil is both a vulnerability and an opportunity for transformation. Oil exploration and extraction can be hazardous to local communities, especially when it leads to oil spills, gas flarings, and deforestation. However, if Nigeria wants to safeguard long-term energy security, it must explore imperative options. Renewable energy and local communities. Renewable energy sources are very important for the country because it helps in reducing the rate of deforestation, gas flarings, and oil spills in the nation, particularly in the Niger Delta. Oil exploration has been very hazardous to that side of the country. In conclusion, halting oil exploration and directing investment to renewable energy is a necessary and strategic move. It is not simply a question for the environment, but of national development, energy security, and global responsibility. Nigeria must embrace renewable energy in order to safeguard long-term energy securities and protect the country for future generations. Therefore, I strongly urge you to support the motion that says Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. Thank you.
Judges, distinguished guests, possible critics. As the second speaker in this debate, I stand in full support of the motion that Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. In my colleague's speech, he discussed the reasons why Nigeria should stop oil exploration. Now, I will delve into the long-term implication of discontinuing oil exploration and why focusing on renewable energy is not just a matter of environmental necessity, but also a vital step to national development and sustainability. Firstly, I would like us to address the environmental impact of continuing oil exploration. The scientific consensus on climate change is very clear. Human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuel, is driving global warming, and Nigeria, as a major producer, is contributing significantly to this environmental issue. We have an obligation as a signatory to the Paris Agreement to help reduce carbon emission and to join the global community in its effort to reduce global warming. The industry has devastated many regions like the Niger Delta, where gas flaring, oil spillage, and deforestation has polluted the ecosystem and negatively impacted the livelihood of local communities. By ending oil exploration, Nigeria can be able to focus on the well-being and health of the citizens, and by investing in renewable energy, we can be able to provide a more suitable energy source for communities across Nigeria. Secondly, while we have known for decades that oil exploration has been the backbone of Nigeria's economy, it is neither wise nor sustainable. Nigeria has been long aware of the need to diversify its economy, but true diversification cannot happen if we keep funneling our resources into oil exploration instead of prioritizing renewable energy that can create job, innovation, and technological advancements. And with our abundance of resources, Nigeria is uniquely positioned to become a global leader in renewable energy. Renewable energy also provides a unique opportunity for Nigeria to address its unemployment issues. For instance, by investing in solar technology, wind farms, and energy storage system, Nigeria can be able to create job opportunities for millions of Nigerians, ranging in sectors from engineering and manufacturing to education and service industries. Renewable energy could also provide solutions to problems caused by oil exploration. For instance, solar microgrids can bring electricity to off-grid areas, thereby increasing the quality of life of millions of Nigerians. In conclusion, the need to transition away from oil exploration is not just an environmental imperative, but a national necessity. Nigeria should stop its reliance on oil and prioritize renewable energy as a path to a more sustainable, diversified, and reliant future. The implication of continued exploration is dire to both Nigeria's economy and environment. Thus, I urge you all to strongly support the motion that Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. Thank you.
Honorable judges, probable critics, and distinguished guests, as the third speaker in this debate, I stand in unwavering support of the motion Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. In this phase of the debate, I will build upon the points raised by my colleagues, further reinforcing the urgent need for Nigeria to transition away from oil exploration and embrace renewable energy sources. 1. The imperative of climate change mitigation and Nigeria's vulnerability. As we have already established, climate change is one of the most critical challenges facing humanity. Nigeria is not immune to its effects. In fact, the country is already feeling the impact of changing rainfall patterns, increasing temperatures, and rising sea levels, particularly in its coastal region. The consequences of this are already evident: deforestation, destruction of the ecosystem, and pollution of the Niger Delta. More importantly, these environmental damages threaten the lives and livelihoods of Nigerians. Therefore, the transition into renewables is a more imperative to protect our future generations and planet. Nigeria's overdependence on oil has left its economy vulnerable, especially in times of oil price volatility. A drop in global oil price can have catastrophic effects on Nigeria's economy. Therefore, renewables offers immense opportunity for economic diversification. The renewable energy sector, including wind, solar, biomass, and hydropower, presents an opportunity to create new industries, offer millions of jobs, and stimulate innovation. For example, Nigeria has the potential to become a solar energy hub for Africa, given its abundant solars in the northern regions. The renewable energy sector has been proven to be a job multiplier in many countries, from the manufacturing of solar panels to the installation and maintenance of wind turbines. In conclusion, the transition away from oil exploration and the embracing of renewable energy is not just an environmental necessity, but a strategic and economic opportunity for Nigeria. Our future lies in renewables, which offers economic diversification, job creation, energy security, and a more resilient and sustainable energy system. Therefore, I urge you all to support the motion that Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. Thank you.
In summary, halting oil exploration and redirecting investments into renewable energy Nigeria will demonstrate global leadership in addressing climate change, reduce its carbon footprint, and inspire other African nations to follow suit. Moreover, it will pave the way for a more equitable and sustainable energy system that will benefit all Nigerians from rural centers to urban communities. Therefore, I strongly believe that we should all support the motion that says Nigeria should stop oil exploration and focus on renewable energy. Thank you.